I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
Hello and welcome back to the show. Got a good one in store for you. Joining me today is researcher and curator of the Spiritual Shade Room on Instagram. He's also on YouTube as Ani Osaru. Very happy to get him back on here, and we'll just see where this conversation goes today. Ani, how's it going?
I'm doing fine, bro, and it's always a pleasure to be on your show, man, and chop it up and share information. I've been doing great. How about yourself?
Yeah, doing great, man. Likewise, it's good to have you here, man. It was good to see you recently over on the
Yeah.
Rejects too.
Yeah, that kind of happened. I was talking to what's it? I forgot his name. It's Gray Pill Podcast.
Y- Yeah, Jules.
Jules. It slips my mind. Sorry, Jules. But yeah, me and Jules sometimes talk through inbox, and I was like, yeah, man, I see y'all have this show going. I've tapped into the show before, but I didn't know that they were doing things more frequently. And it came across my feed on YouTube, and I was like, why haven't I done that? You know,
Yeah,
so
that's what I was thinking too. I was thinking that you had been on there before, actually. That was a
yeah,
good fit for you.
yeah, I think Donut, I don't know if Donut did something with them. I'm not sure, but I think Donut has done some stuff with them. So it was good, to link these other communities. We talk about the same subject matters. And when you got on there, I was real surprised. I didn't even know that they had invited you. I was like, yeah, Tim, man, let's go. Let's rock out now. We
Hmm.
could really go.
Yeah. Yeah, it got fun. That was a fun episode. I'll probably post that somewhere soon. It was good stuff. But
Yeah.
um, I gotta hit you with this.
Hmm.
Just because you've been on the show before, it was a great episode. I recommend people go check it out. It's nice flow.
Well,
I really enjoy talking to you. So um I was going to ask you this though, because speaking of Donut and some of the work y'all do,
hmm
I don't want to use the word predictions, but I'm going to use it for context. Like, not that you're in the business of making predictions,
right.
but is there anything that's happening or has happened recently that you kind of saw coming?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times when I use gematria, I mean, Donut came around to gematria once he saw that we were using it, more frequently. Not to say, Donut, that you didn't know about gematria. I'm not saying that, but to utilize the system of gematria, if people don't know what that is, it's the Kabbalistic science of numerology. They control the whole entire world with this number system and learning how they program these numbers. I call them the control numbers. They'll have an incident that happens, like this whole EBT snaps benefit thing that the right and the left are arguing about. All of that is gematria. Like, I've showed the numbers and what's going on with that. So if these numbers that they call the control numbers, they use these things frequently over and over in the news and the media, then you can kind of early in the year, if you see certain words that equal a certain number and the number keeps popping back up, you can kind of make predictions off the numbers that they like, based on what the numerology equals to the word. So I've called a lot of things recently. More importantly, I call it dark gematria, when you can predict a sacrifice.
Mhm.
That's what we're calling it. That's not what would be popular to say, because this person can pass away and they'll say, "Hey, he died in the hospital, some type of health condition, or he died in a car accident, health condition." I put the story in the gematria calculator. Uh, it equals two perfectly. He probably didn't die that way. That's probably what they are paid to report it as, because these people own the Associated Press. And a lot of times with these deaths, like the Michael Jackson death, the coroner, there was some weird stuff with the coroner saying certain things where we don't even know what they said is actually true. So they can tell us anything if it was reported in the news, you're going to believe it. If they died in a car accident, they died in a car accident. If their family members never come out, or maybe some of these people get paid, and I know I'm sounding like a conspiracy theorist, let's nip this in the bud real quick. The word conspiracy came after the JFK assassination. I mean, the word conspiracy existed, but conspiracy theory came after that.
Hmm.
The word conspiracy comes from the word conspire, Tim. What
Yeah,
does conspire means? It means a group of people coming together to conspire against another group of people, or
yeah,
conspire against a person.
I
Right.
know. I'm right there with you. Like people say all the time, well, the CIA created the term as if that somehow makes this not a real thing that's happening, but not so fast, like you said, the
Right.
concept's been around for a long time. It's in the Bible. It's
Right.
in Jeremiah 11:9, which that's an inverted 9/11. That's why I remember that, by the way.
Mm.
And it's in George Washington's letters from the 1700s. The, they were talking about the Bavarian Illuminati. One of his friends over in Europe was warning him about that. He was like, "Oh, you guys got to watch out. They might try to infiltrate your lodges, your Masonic
Mhm.
lodges."
Right.
And they were using that word conspiracy. They're like, "Man, these are like conspiracy conspiracy guys." They didn't use the theorists yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. It's been around for a long time.
And Adam Weishaupt, who started that Bavarian, he was influenced through this other guy named Jakob Frank. Jakob Frank and Adam Weishaupt, he was influenced through that guy,
Hmm.
through that same order. And Jakob Frank was influenced by Sabbatai Zevi, who started the whole Sabbatean worship thing, where it was all about the Don May cult of who can do the most evilish type stuff in the world. And the more evil you do, it's going to force the Messiah to come back. That started the archetype of what the Illuminati does today, because they were the ones that were switching wives, switching girlfriends, doing stuff with younger people. I'll just say that,
Hmm.
or YouTube and everything. They
Right.
started that out of the Don May cults. And then Jakob Frank, who is a Rothschild, picked up on that, and he influenced Adam Weishaupt, who created the Bavarian Illuminati. And later on, we get all of these different Freemasonic groups or secret society groups. They're all influenced through the Sabbatean current of information, of these people bringing occultism to the fresh new generations and presenting it in a certain type of way that makes it look cool. Then we get the Aleister Crawleys. He makes it look a certain type of way. All of the rock bands start to make songs after him and everything. He was influenced through the same current. So yeah,
What
man,
is
pretty
that
much.
Sabbatean? What can you break that down for people that might not know what that is?
Well, the word Sabbatean comes from the is a guy. He came around in 16. Well, he was declared the Christ of the Jews, the Messiah. Let me just say that.
Hmm.
Get mad. The Messiah of the Jews around 1666. So you get that 666 again. This dude, this prophet named Nathan of Gaza told him he would become the Messiah of the Jews. He believed it, so he started to go around. His name is Sabbatai Zavi. He was telling everyone, hey, pretty much the Messiah. And there was an Ottoman in that region where he was. The region was like what Palestine would be today, where they were, where the new Israel was established,
Mm.
from the guy named Nathan of Gaza, which is hilarious. But pretty much the Ottoman was like, he didn't believe he was the Messiah, but so many people was worshiping this dude. He was like a superstar, a religious cult superstar. So he was like, all right, I can make some money off it, the Ottoman in the area. But the Ottoman got kind of jealous of him because so many people was worshiping this guy. And he approached him one day and said, hey, either you convert to Islam or I'm gonna cut your head off.
Okay.
Sabbatai takes this, I want to call it a proposal, but this threat to Nathan of Gaza, and Nathan of Gaza tells him, who is a Kabbalist, by the way, He tells them, yeah, you need to do that because this is the part of the tikkun, which means rectification in the Kabbalah. This is a process where you got to enter the qliphoth. The qliphoth is the tree of knowledge in the Bible, the tree God told you you're not supposed to mess with. But in Kabbalah, it's called the upside down tree, where the demons exist instead of the angels in the hierarchy. He says if you convert to Islam, you're entering into the Kabbalah, so you're going through this tikkun process. It's like entering into the cocoon and coming out the butterfly. So you got to go into the mud, the murkiness, the that's what they considered anything that wasn't Judaism at the time. It was part of this evil type thing. So he does convert to Islam, Sabbatai does, and that's where he starts the Don May, where he has all of these ex-Jews or people who practice Judaism. And you got all of these Islamic people who practice Islam. Now they're following this philosophy, this theological philosophy that Sabbatai enforces and says, all of the holy stuff y'all do, get rid of that. We're going to do the most unholy stuff. And it's going to force our Messiah to come back because we're doing this. And somebody in the world has to do enough evil to force the Christ or the Messiah to come back. So that's what Sabbatean means, is doing these unholy acts. And they've convinced themselves. I don't know what the um psychology is of what how they convince themselves of this, that they're doing this evil for good. And that's what the Illuminati is today. They took that archetype, Jacob Frank pushes it, Adam Weishaupt puts it in the Freemasonic, Rosicrucian, Golden Dawn. All of these other orders are sanctioned through what these older orders were trying to do in the beginning. And now Freemasonry is like a vehicle for them. We think all of this shit is Freemasonic, but they're using Freemasonry as a vehicle to represent what they're actually doing. So they're hiding in the background. We don't know who these people are. You've seen Eyes Wide Shut. Whatever you see in that is what the Sabbateans are doing. The Illuminati, or people who are quote unquote in the Illuminati, they're the front face of the Sabbateans. The Sabbateans is like what the deep state is. They're deep, deep in this thing. And they do all of the wearing animal skins and
Yeah.
whatever
Uh,
stuff you think the Illuminati do. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
you're blowing my mind over here. I don't want to get this train off the track. I just want to add a couple things here.
But
It's like a Sabbatean eschatology that
yeah.
these people are following, and it's funny because I heard Marilyn Manson in an interview back in the maybe late 90s, early 2000s, talking about how he was trying to force the Christ to return. This whole thing that you just said, he got
Mm-hmm.
on that train. Now I don't know if he got on it through Crowley or what, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was definitely doing exactly what you laid out, and he said it in that interview. And another thing I was thinking, did you say this guy was 1666, right?
Yeah.
That's also the beginning of the British Royal Society.
Really?
Yes, which
Oh,
is
wow.
very interesting that those two coincide because that British Royal Society later on, w- that's where we got all our science stuff from. You know
Mm.
how science has turned into a religion in this country, and that all started with the British Royal Society. They were they were like propping up guys like Darwin and Marx, and they were really pumping that out. And we kind of followed their lead on that. And then you have these Washington letters. So that's the late 1600s. Then in the late 1700s, you have George Washington talking to his friends in Europe, and they're like, "Hey, man, watch out for this Bavarian Illuminati. They're going to try to
Right.
infiltrate y'all." Then in the late 1800s, you remember Steiner said that the whole U.S. government was being ran by the mystery schools in the
Yeah.
late 1800s. So there's a
100%.
progression here that we could follow. And my question is like, wow, what if Washington was able to sort of keep the Bavarian Illuminati at bay while he was alive and kind of keep them out? But by the time the 1800s roll around, maybe infiltrated the whole system over here. I don't know, but
Could be. Oh well, shoot. Um, mm, yeah, because the Jesuits, nah, the Jesuits, they were a part of
oh yeah,
founding this country,
they
definitely.
were.
Yeah, they're because the Jesuits are very influenced through the Sabbateanism, but they kind of think they running the show. I mean, they have the right to feel that because even the Gutenberg press, who printed the Bible, all of this stuff is through Jesuitism. The Jesuits, if you go deep back in history, is always a Jesuit affiliated with how English became the main trade language of the world. All was controlled through the Jesuits, the Catholic Church, and
Yeah, you know that I just did a breakdown of that movie National Treasure, and what I found was the first 5 minutes of that. It's a Nick Cage movie. His
yeah,
stuff seems to come up a lot, right? Um,
right.
but okay, so the first 5 minutes of that movie, they're talking about real history, and they're talking about this guy named Carroll.
Hmm.
I think Charles Carroll. I may have got his first name wrong, but I went back and looked him up. He was a real guy. He was the richest guy at the time, and he was a Jesuit. He was
Mm.
the only open Catholic guy who signed the Declaration of Independence, but they said he was worth $375 million in the
Dang.
1700s. Jesuit,
If
100%.
it,
And then
if,
I saw all these guys that they were sending the Jesuits out west as well, and founding a lot of those towns out there that are our cities today.
right, yeah. Um, I'm telling you, bro, it's Jesuits, and if his name was Charles, we don't. If that
Here,
was his name,
here, I'll look it up for you.
interestingly enough, um, yes, check if you can.
Yeah,
It means free man. And that's,
really?
yeah, what the Freemason is supposed to represent. You're free to do anything you want under the sun, just as long as you don't tell the secrets of the lodge. And
Here
the
you go.
secret is, yeah,
Yep, it was Charles. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
well, there
Yep,
you go.
there you
I
go.
mean, I figured his name was Charles because you
Hmm.
see this name, even what happened with Charlie Kirk this year, and um, Trump calling him a master builder. Now Trump is building the Temple of Solomon on the White House, real estate. You didn't hear about that?
I missed the first part of that.
He's building this $300 million ballroom, Trump
Yes.
is, but it's actually the blueprints to the Temple of Solomon. And
That's crazy.
and the gematria is crazy because Temple of Solomon equals 185, like Donald John Trump. So the gematria links up with it as well. But he called Charlie Kirk a master builder. And yeah,
Oh yeah.
so
And he's building that gate. It what do they call it? The gate de Trump or something like that. It
yeah, I
looks
heard
like the
about that.
Ishtar gate that Nebuchadnezzar built. Very, very Babylonian.
The gematria is lined up. Shout out to the coding with Cody. He broke that down on his channel. You guys can look it up, the coding with Cody, and he broke that down, the whole gate thing and where it originates and how it connects back with the Jesuits and everything as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's the Jesuits, man. Trump went to a Jesuit university. He went there. Biden went to a Jesuit university. So they're like the assassins, man. Like whoever runs the Jesuits, they're called the what was it called? The Black Pope, or is it the Gray Pope?
Well, I know Erica Kurt she's got some Jesuit connections.
Yeah, Erica Kirk's mother and father worked like for the military, I believe, on developing EMP systems, magnetic pulse systems, preventing blackouts. Now, interestingly enough, about 2 weeks ago, we had a blackout. We did because I couldn't get in my bank account for 2 days. I'm with
Mm.
Navy Credit Union, and that thing was shut down for like 2 days. I couldn't get in my account, or I couldn't get in my business account. And then it was reported that there was an internet outage for like a day and a half.
Yeah, I wonder about how sometimes some of these big events affect us personally. It's like when the New Jersey drones thing was happening, I had several forced updates on my phone.
Mm.
And it was just, I don't do updates on my phone. I try to keep it in the dark ages. I try to keep all that spyware out of my devices. So I don't do updates. But this was a forced update. First one I ever had ever,
Oh,
you
wow.
know. But yeah, Erica Kirk, when it comes to politics on here, I know people start living in their feelings, not just on here, just on the internet in general. People get
Mm.
emotional. So just throwing a disclaimer out there. We're going to point some things out here. Let's just everybody remain calm.
Right.
so um, her mom, Erica Kirk's mom, is DOD. We
Mhm.
know they know how to script personalities. They script half the movies for Hollywood. I can pull that list up later if you
They
want.
did.
Her dad worked for Raytheon in Israel. So that's some deep, deep military
I
industrial
didn't know it was in
complex.
Israel.
Well, I think he's done several things, but at one point he was doing Raytheon's Israel wing or whatnot.
Right, right.
So yeah, she's in deep with the deep state. It's like
Mhm.
you said deep state earlier, and I just think it follows this thread with the Jesuit thing that you're laying out here.
Yeah, I mean, she was a model for Trump. She was in the military herself. I got pictures with her with gear on. She worked in the military.
Really?
Yes, I got pictures of her. I got a picture of her with a flight. I think she was in the Air Force or something like that. Like she was, I don't know if she flew jets. I'm not, she was in the military. I know that for sure.
Mhm.
People know that. And
It may be intelligence, Ani, where they had her bouncing around. I mean, I looked through Oswald's stuff, and they had him bouncing around to like 15 different bases all over the world. He was like globetrotting to military bases. They had him doing all this different stuff. They were teaching him how to do all this stuff. So I
right.
guess whatever situation he was in, he'd know how to work with the Navy or the Air Force or whoever it might be, depending on that's they want these guys to have all these well-rounded skills. And I don't know if we'll get into this, but the Snake Eyes thing, I wanted to touch on Nick Cage for a minute.
Mhm.
His movie, her dad in real life worked on Iron Dome technology for, I think, for Raytheon in Israel, but they called it that Iron Dome. And that's Iron Dome is a plot point in that movie, Snake Eyes.
Oh, wow.
So there's all kinds of crazy connections with that movie. I think this goes back to the gematria thing. It's like, how's all this work? I don't know how it works, but for some reason, there's weird advanced math and advanced like synchronicities happening with all this stuff.
Well, it's a Kabbalah.
Mm,
Gematria is Kabbalah, and the Kabbalah is showing a glyphical diagram of how creation happens. So how to create, and the Freemasonry is all about building a foundation. You look up the 47th Euclidean problem is how is a foundation established? Well, they're establishing these foundations, but it is some type of time sorcery which
mm,
parallels into what I've been talking you about off camera, what we've been researching with the numogram and this guy Nick Land, and how the whole Silicon Valley kind of worship this guy behind the scenes. Some of this philosopher, new age philosopher guy that was looking into research from the cybernetic research group, the CCRU, which equals 666 in gematria, which he's told everyone they equal 666 in gematria. He didn't know that at the time, but they figured out this glyphical process of using Atlantean, Lemurian type of sequences with magic. Basically, is numerical magic. Atlantean research is more hermetic. That means is how we look at it as I won't say new age, but spiritual people today. Everything goes into the one, or everything is a part of God, or you know how everybody thinks. That's Atlantean based thought if you think like that. But the Lemurian logic is polylogic. It means things can be representative, not into the one. It's through 0 through 9, which 9 is the highest. So if you reduce every gematria number we find is going to be either 0 through 9, and each point through each of the numbers from 0, 1 up to 9 means something else in time. And Nick Land established that these numbers were demons called lemurs. He called them lemurs, referring to the Lemurian process, where when he says demon, we're not talking about creepy horned creatures or jumping in your body, making you do evil exorcist type stuff. He's referring them into a time distortion. So these people have implemented a way through numerology. They found something where if they do things at certain times directly, because the day the exact day that you do something is equated in their whole ritual. So if I do something on this day at this time during this astrological point, lined up also, got to quote this with the lunar month. 'Cause lunar months, Mercury months, all align into their rituals. And a lunar month is like what period of the month are we in? The month is like in 29-day period. You ever seen Donnie Darko?
Yeah, it's been a while, but I will say that some of the old alchemical texts that I've read, that's what those guys were doing. They were
Yeah,
lining everything up with the stars and the lunar stuff.
there
But
you
yeah,
go, the
but
stars.
yeah, Donnie Darko, I've seen it a little bit. I mean, I know I saw the whole movie, but it's been a while since I've
You
seen
remember
it.
when that number popped up and the number started to count down? Said 29. It was
Okay.
talking about a lunar month because a rabbit, which he was dressed as, the rabbit represents the moon. It's actually Rohini in the Vedic astrology. I talk about Vedic astrology is it follows the path of the moon. Western astrology, which all of us know Western, whatever your Western sign is what you think you are, that follows the sun, the path of the sun. Is called the ecliptic. So you got the ecliptic, then you got the sidereal, the geo what you call it, you got heliocentrism. So it's geocentrism on the moon side. So they calculate the time that they do things specifically with the moon. If you look at Jewish religion, they do everything by a 19-month or 19-year moon cycle. Islam as well. Kind of crazy that we just said that the Sabbateans infiltrated these two. Because you think of Islam, you think of the crescent moon. You think of Judaism, people who are actually Jewish and practice Judaism, they know is about the moon. But the rest of the religions are all sun religions.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah, yeah. We talked about that guy, Hillel, the pre-Islamic Arabic moon god, and that was his symbol was a crescent moon.
Funny enough, Lucifer, the name Lucifer comes from a word called, or a person, a mythical
It's Hillel.
archetype called Hillel ben Shahar.
Yeah.
It's the real name of Lucifer doesn't exist as a word. So every time you use the word you're practicing Luciferianism, this is a new word. It's not an ancient word. Lucifer is not an ancient word. So pretty much it's made up.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is made up. Let me
Well, no,
clarify.
I'm with that because I looked into Lucifer. I went on a deep dive look. And I was just trying to know, and I went straight to that verse in Isaiah 14, I think it is, where it says, "Hillel ben Shahar, son of the morning." And yeah,
Right.
that the writers of the Bible back in the day, from what I can tell, never wrote the word Lucifer. That
No.
was added in there later.
Right.
Some Latin guy came along and saw Hillel ben Shahar and said, "Oh, we've got a word called Lightbringer, but we say it Lucifer. Let's put that in there."
I remember the guy who did it, and I think he was a Jesuit too. I don't.
I bet.
I do remember it, but I seen somebody podcast talking about this guy, but he probably was sanctioned to do that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
real
A lot
talk.
of a lot of that stuff's in the KJV. I've got a Bible right here that doesn't have Lucifer in it at all.
Oh,
This
really?
is, yeah, New Revised Standard Version. This is the Bible I like because
Hmm.
I like to study things and go back and try to get into the mind of the ancient people and just all other stuff. And I like this version, and Lucifer is not in here at all
Wow.
because I don't think it ever was.
I know. I
It
know.
was added like
We
we're
through
talking about.
this. The-
But what is in here is names like uh, Lilith.
Really?
She's in here. Yep, she's in Isaiah with a capital L.
Damn.
And Ashtar or Ishtar,
Oh
they
yeah, yeah.
refer to her as Ashtoreth a lot in there. But yeah,
Ashtar. Yeah.
mhm.
Ashtar, Ishtar. Well, she's ancient, probably more ancient than all of it. Because the people don't understand, like you go into ancient thought, the worship of goddesses exists longer than gods. And that's hard for people to swallow. But
I know,
the
I know,
deeper we go, we find goddesses, bro.
I know.
Deep, deep, deep. Like, because I mean, shoot, the gate of man, well, from a religious sense, they'll tell you, man created woman, or we pulled it's some type of analogy of we created woman with our ribs or whatever like that. If you believe that, that's fine. But if you go into the
I think that Isaiah 14 passage with the Hillel
Mhm.
ben Shahar, I think that might be about a goddess personally,
You think
because
so?
I think so because it says son of the morning star. It's Venus,
Venus, right?
and that's Ishtar. Ishtar is Venus, just
And
like
Ishtar is Isis.
yeah,
Same
Ice.
archetype.
Yeah, yeah. She was this major goddess that had all these different names across different cultures. I've seen Templars back in letters from the 1200s using Ishtar and Isis interchangeably as
Hmm.
if it was the same goddess. And those guys, boy, have people got them twisted. No, the whole Templar thing, man, those guys were basically they worshiped the goddess, they venerated the goddess, and they were getting all their stuff from Atlantis. You
Hmm.
mentioned Atlantean logic earlier,
Hmm.
and that's what those guys were all about. Anunnaki and Atlantis. They were trying to go back and find and compile all this information from that Atlantean civilization. And also the Sumerian Anunnaki stuff, where we see Lilith and Ishtar, they emerge in that Epic of Gilgamesh. They're both mentioned in there. But the Templars had this thing where they thought that the the Anunnaki, I think, came from Atlantis. I think that's what they believed because they connected the two in some type of way. But I
So
just think it's funny that a lot of this knowledge, this occult knowledge that's been passed down throughout the ages, um, it does go back to the Atlantean logic. And I think the Templars were very much a part of like holding on to that knowledge and passing it on.
so how they frame it, this is real crazy. It'll blow your mind. So Anunnaki, just like Elohim, means multiple people who genetically did things. Well, that's the new age type thing. I mean, it didn't
Mhm.
literally say that they did that. But it's talking about a group of gods or a group of higher dimensional beings or things that came down here and they were running stuff before everyone else, or an intelligence, so to speak. Um, there's something that the CCRU are presenting, it's retro chronicity. Like, what is taking place? Like, capitalism is a intelligence or a demon or a alien that's using us to speed up it's called accelerationism, speed up the process. So we're using AI, we're using all of this stuff to speed up the process of giving life to this, transferring life over to this next thing, which is going to be robots, or what transhumanism is. So we're making these things and we're giving it life like the Elohim did for us.
Okay.
They said they created us. They didn't say he created, they said they, biblically.
Mhm.
You're like, whoa, they, what are we talking about? There's only one God. But apparently, whoever they is, he's a part of that. Now, Gnosticism says the archons, but then, you look at it, they'll say, oh, they're talking about the angels. I'm like, okay, so what is that? I mean, we know in other pantheons they were polytheistic. There was many gods, but that is evil. to even think that there's other gods outside of the one God. But maybe if you look at it in a way that these other gods were attributes of God, different things to explain this one God, they'll tell you you're crazy for thinking that. So, what if Atlantis is the future, retro and retrochronicity, that we're building this new being, which is the robots or AI, and Atlantis is we're working towards what was deemed as the past. We're building that because they said it was an advanced civilization, right?
Hmm.
What if
I'm
we're
with that.
building? This is crazy, bro.
So yeah, so New Atlantis is
Right.
something that Francis Bacon wrote. He was an initiate. I went through his whole history. He was probably Queen Elizabeth the First child. Um, and
Hmm.
she was associated with the Templar. She was in an underground Templar order called the what's it called? Evangelica. I'll think of it in a minute. Anyway, but
Mhm.
they were Templars. They were initiates. They were probably another different order. So he writes that book, New Atlantis, and it's almost like it's this, like they're going to bring back Atlantis, but it's going to be this almost like transhumanistic place, technocratic place, even.
Right.
And you see maybe that happening right now because when with all this talk of Greenland and Trump and Greenland
Mhm.
and Trump and Putin meeting, talking about the North Pole, and it looks like they're going to all the guys that were at the inauguration, all the tech bros, they've all
Yeah.
invested millions in Greenland. And if you go back to another initiate, Nostradamus, he said that in the 21st century, two major powers, world powers, would become friends and unite in the North Pole.
Yeah, that's some occult stuff. When they met with each other like a couple of months ago, they had literally the two pillars of Freemasonry behind them, and they met
Hmm.
exactly at 11:11. That exactly at 11:11 is where the picture was taken, and they had the plane stairs, the stair up to the plane. That's the third pillar. The third pillar is supposed to represent wisdom.
Yeah,
The
and
middle.
these tech guys are clued in. They're watching all this play out. They're somehow in the know. Like it's almost like Trump brought them in, but they're talking about setting up a new kind of city up there.
Yeah.
There's some deeply prophetic stuff in a purely occult sense about setting up special cities in Greenland. And that makes me think about Bacon's New Atlantis,
Yeah, it
which
was is
Washington and Franklin all read that book when they started this country, thinking that maybe this was going to be New Atlantis, that they were going to spearhead that. And I'm wondering if that was a stepping stone and that where we're headed now is actually going to be New Atlantis. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out
no,
there.
you're on it. Dr. Joseph Farrell, got to get his research. He tells you that the original Freemason was about establishing this new paradisial logic, a paradise, but they thought of God as a mechanical intelligence. It was like is mechanisms. They think of God almost like they think it from a different sense of how Christians look at God, basically, and that these Freemasons basically wanted to create this new paradise that reflected Eden, where you got a place named Greenland. There's another guy named Christopher Birkness. He does deep Kabbalah research, and he's taken it on a racial level where he believes this Greenland project is to establish a Eden for European people. He says it's going to be like a paradise for European. You got to follow me here. It's a paradise for European people. But he says it's a trap. He thinks that if you go to this place, they're going to offer you money. They're going to come to Americans. They're going to come to different Europeans, the Scottish, Anglos, and say, "Hey, if you come to this place, we're going to pay you to move here." And you're going to think it's like some paradise, but he thinks over time it's going to become like almost a slave camp through AI or whatever they have set up there.
Yeah, it's almost like a corporate city that they're including all this cybernetics, because
Cybernetics.
yeah, because the Teal, Peter Thiel was researching corporate cities, and it's kind of like what you just said. It's like you get everybody to want to move there. Maybe you even pay them to move there, and you
Mhm.
say, "Oh, when you get here, everything's going to be taken care of. We're going to give you a task," and that's when it's going to get real Black Mirror real quick.
Well, if they tell you is that there's no other racial groups there, that's going to be intriguing for different people too. Not to say that
Mm,
they're directly racist or anything. I mean, it could be, but if it's just a pure start over for you to go here and they're paying you to go there and it's only for specific groups, it's going to be intriguing nonetheless to see how that can be ran with just one group. And some people are looking into that. And they think Trump represents that, which I think Trump is he represents something in the cosmos that shakes things up. I don't think it's directly Trump is one way or the other. He just represents a shakeup of things. He's a factor in the equation. But look into this Christopher Birkness guy. He's going deep. He's bringing some Kabbalah stuff to it. He's listing some things. It's very
mm.
interesting his angle on it.
Oh, I want to add too, since we were talking about Atlantis, that's where a lot of the ancients believed Atlantis was up there at the
Yeah,
north tip of Greenland. That's
Hyperborea.
yeah, that's where the rumors of the ancient Atlantic civilization
Hmm.
was said to be, like going back to the Nazi occult notion. Like I think they used
Yeah,
Hyperborea. They used Thule as well, and Thule is actually a place on the map up there in northern
yeah,
Greenland. Thule,
it
Thule
is.
Air Base.
Oh,
We
well,
took
it's
that over
really
from the
close.
Nazis. I think about it like this. I like that you brought this up, this whole New Atlantis type of a thing, because I think that that was always thought to be a future utopian empire. That was something that was
Hmm.
coming, and it seems like this was very well understood by powerful men in all the secret societies. Nostradamus included, Nostradamus, Francis Bacon, Jefferson, Washington. I imagine that to tie in with the goddess thing, Washington had the vision of the goddess. He said she
Mm.
came to him and startled him, and she was calling him the child of the republic. And she had all these kind of big plans for him. I imagine that when he had that vision, um, somewhere deep in his belly, he probably thought he was being chosen to build this long last new Atlantis.
Yeah. That's the thing about it.
Or was that Ani? Was that the stepping stone? Is America the
It
stepping
is. It's
stone?
a step because it's an experiment.
Mm,
America is an experiment.
mm-hmm.
And I can't say this person name, but there's a person who wrote books about this, and she's stressing it's called a hyper kingdom. And the hyper kingdom already exists. It already exists already. And maybe this place that you're speaking of or we're referring to, it already exists in Greenland or this upper region, quote unquote, where would be Hyperborea. Maybe it's the public disclosure of the hyper kingdom that they already have. Because she says that there's places here on this planet that they haven't put on the map, and they got extremely advanced technology. And people go here and fro from this place, but they're not going to tell you about it. It's part of the whole Freemasonic or secret society type thing. And we get technology from these other places, or they collaborate with different countries to make these technologies where they let the technology openly be advertised or whatever wherever this place is, but we don't get the technology to about 10 years later from this place already has it.
Yep.
And they
Yep.
call it hyper king. It says some celebrities know about it.
Yep.
No,
Bird. I'm thinking about Admiral Byrd in some of
yeah.
his old interviews from the 50s. He's talking about the North Pole. He was talking about how everybody was sort of hyper focused on the North Pole in these upper
Mhm.
echelons of government around the world. And he said it was getting crowded up there. What's he talking about? There's
Mm,
nothing up there that we know of getting crowded. And then you've got the Prime Minister of Canada with Emperor Trudeau, who's dating Katy Perry now, which is weird.
I
But
saw that.
he has a story about how when he was a kid, he says he remembers his dad taking him up to the North Pole
Hmm.
and going to some visit people up there or something.
I'm telling you, man.
Like they got a
Now,
gated community up there already, man.
I'm trying to tell you. And Jason Giorgiani talks about it. Jason Reza Giorgiani, he speaks about it sparingly as well, that he believes that there's a, instead of the alien angle of another being from another universe, he thinks that there's an advanced group of humans from the future that time traveled back here to where this hyper kingdom at, and the UFOs that we're seeing, or the objects we're seeing in the sky, are actually time machines coming here and fro and traveling to this place, and they're giving advanced information to the different governments, which parallels to what that other person is saying with the hyper kingdoms, with the technology.
Mhm.
Not to say, like, I believe that they're time traveling or anything like that, but they probably have some advanced stuff, and they've probably been here for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking into Parsons a little bit recently, and he he does that Babylon working
Mhm.
in 1947, and then he dies a couple years later in the 50s. And I looked it up right after he died is when that Washington D.C. UFO flyover happened.
I remember that, yeah.
And there's all this, and like after Roswell, so he does the working, and then not long after that, a couple months later, is when Roswell happens,
Mhm.
and the other one up at Mount Rainier in Washington,
Yeah.
Kenneth Arnold. Parsons was desperately trying to get in touch with Kenneth Arnold after that. He had to
Mm.
talk to him. He was very interested in these things coming into our realm, so to speak. And it's like when he died, that he had a notebook because it was some sort of a weird explosion happened. The neighbor ran over immediately and found him. And the neighbor said later that he had a notebook with some words scribbled on it talking about,
Mm.
I need to confirm, no, I need to validate the Babylon working. He was doing something when he died connected to the Babylon working. And there's all this UFO stuff connected to it. It's pretty weird, man.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know if he opened the portal like everybody says or what, but
I
I've
mean,
got this
the portal's been opened. Pyramids was used for Babylon workings. The Babylon working,
uh
the Moonchild workings, is like they get a virgin woman. What Marjorie Cameron wasn't a virgin, of course, but they get a virgin woman, and they use the virgin woman's womb for a just gestational chamber of these other beings. These, if they call them infernal spirits, um, seraphic spirits. They come down and they possess the body of that woman, and it's supposed to be a group of men are supposed to have sexual exchange with the woman, and then she births what's called the moon child, and that's what her Parsons and Marjorie Cameron was trying to do. They were trying to birth the literal antichrist through a sexual sex magic working between them both. Now, I believe they've been using the same moonchild operation with certain births of people that are on the world stage right now. But I think they upgraded it as the technology got better, and a lot of IVF births, which they showed in the TV series Evil,
mm,
are manifesting these moon children, and a lot of them are celebrities today. They're all moon children.
hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I was going to show you this quote real quick before we
Yeah.
move off the topic. So just to put a bow on something we were saying a minute ago, Reuters ran an article, and this is the quote. They said the vision for Greenland could include a hub for artificial intelligence, autonomous autonomous vehicles, space launches, micronuclear micronuclear reactors, and high-speed rail. Probably,
Mm.
no doubt, underground high-speed rail. They probably already have tunnels for that. So it's, they're wanting to build the New World Order city
Yeah.
as we speak. As we speak.
What happened
And
to Hyperloop?
man, they've
Remember the
got a
Hyperloop? Remember they were supposed to build the Hyperloop train
uh
here?
yeah, was that supposed to be above ground?
Nah, I think it was subterranean. It was what was it? I'm not sure. It might
Well,
be.
that's the thing. They've already got tunnels up there beneath Greenland.
Mhm.
It's There's a base up there I was looking into. It's called Camp Century. And they said they had 15,000 miles of tunnels under that.
Oh
Some
damn.
some crazy number that I couldn't even 15,000 miles, and it's just this little, it's almost like it looks like a mountain. They made
Mm.
the base. It's an underground base. They call it an underground city, and that's where JD Vance was at not too long ago. When they sent him to Greenland, they took pictures of him doing some little press conference thing, and right behind him is that Camp Century
Oh wow.
where all that tunnels. And I was like, whoa, of course they don't say anything in the article about where he's at or what he's doing, but he's got all these military guys with him and all that. So something's going on up there, man.
Well, he recently did that thing with Erica Kurt. Um, I forgot what university they were at, but they Turning Point USA did their first little thing with him there, and I have some photos of him hugging Erica Kurt. That's very disturbing. And even in one photo, if you look at the silhouette of them hugging, it shows her pregnant. I
Oh,
literally have the picture. It's not altered or nothing. A lot of times they put things in the photography for foreshadowing as well. Not to say that J.D. Vance is going to get with Erica Kurt, but
yeah, but that sounds like
it
the moonchild thing you're just talking about.
that's what I mean. Say if she has, let's just say in the future, she, I can't go as deep as I can, but she could be a surrogate womb for this type thing is all I'm saying. Or she's been that the whole time because people have spoken. They've never seen her children or Charlie and her, not to speak on people's kids, but they just never
Mhm,
seen their faces. They've never seen their faces. Or we've never seen their faces.
mhm. Okay,
So
so in the ritual, these seraphic spirits possess the woman.
yeah, the
So,
pyramids is used for it.
okay. So here's a crazy theory. This is I could be right, I could be wrong, but this is kind of how I view things. And partly because when I was 13, I lived in a haunted house. No
Mhm.
joke. There was weird stuff happening.
Oh wow.
And it wasn't in my head. It was waking up the whole family at night. This was so anyway, I think that the entities are real. That's why some of them. That's why when you say that these things were called down to possess somebody, I'm thinking they're real entities. And I'm thinking that they have a different version of time, talking about the time sorcery from earlier.
Yeah.
They have some sort of a different version of time on their side of the veil. And I wonder often if they influence musicians and script writers in Hollywood and all these people who influence us, if those people are channeling the muse and they put the
Yeah.
prophetic Easter eggs in these movies and songs and on the news, sometimes without even realizing it.
Yeah,
There's
it's they gotta have a channeler that's in communication because that's what cybernetic. Cybernetic doesn't just mean like robots and stuff. It means a
Mhm,
communication system. How to communication, the value of communication. So if they can communicate with it and they create a system, for instance, if they have a quantum computer they have annealers that can number crunch and get the exact timings of when they want to manifest these things or who they want it to manifest through. They probably have a whole entire apparatus of different quantum computers working to give you these people at the certain time that they need these people to be there. So people ask, how can this manifest? And they predict this stuff in movies. They have quantum computers that can think a septillion times faster than we can. You see what I'm saying? All they got to
yeah.
do is give the direction. Hey, you got to be here on this day, on this. this time you got to do this and that. It's a world stage type thing. And literally these people are being controlled. And if maybe they don't go with the program, that's when Project MK Ultra and things like that can go down, where they can shock the person's consciousness and make them do with what they need to do to keep the system going.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, too, just to tie up a thought,
Hmm.
for me personally, it's like if these are, if there is some other intelligence influencing some of this, I'm just thinking, if time is a linear thing, they
Yeah.
they can code things that haven't happened yet on
Yeah.
this timeline.
Absolutely.
It's almost like 4D witchcraft.
Hmm.
So,
Four-dimensional chess.
because I
That's
because
what that is.
I asked Ole Demigard about this one time, and we were talking about a lot of things. And finally, I just asked him, I was like, hey, man, do you think that there's, I don't remember how I worded it, but do you think that there's like a supernatural element to this? Like that there's, let's say, good angels and bad angels that exist that are involved in some of these psyops and just events and all this stuff, staged events. He goes,
Mhm.
yes, he's good. Yes, I do. He was super sober about it. He was like, yes, and then he said something along the lines of, I don't really talk about that aspect of this much because it tends to go over people's heads or something like that. I don't want to misquote him,
Right.
but I asked him if this was a supernatural thing, and he seemed to think so too. And I don't know. I'm just playing around with it, like if
Well,
it's
if you
4D
look at
witchcraft.
the series Supernatural,
Mm.
ever seen that series?
Oh yeah, I remember that series.
I mean, they're kind of telling you stuff right there. I mean, the angels don't always do things um morally good, and the demons don't always do things morally bad. It's like a tweener. And that's just what the whole spirit thing is. Like the magical societies, they develop techniques to make contact with these things. The secret societies use them to make the contact and develop a process of where they can utilize how this contact can serve them. And then they use the celebrities and all of these other people as batteries or a power system to keep the system at bay. Because all they're doing is telling us what reality is, and we go along with it. And they get these people that have a lot of influence to reinforce that reality to us, to tell us what we need to be thinking.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember you saying once that a ritual is geometry for the invisible. I thought that
Yes.
that was so. For example, this is where my mind goes. It, what if Barron Trump is going to be a powerful figure one day, like a president or something, and that's what the book was it was written about in that book as like a
Mhm.
precursor, perhaps. I don't know. This stuff gives me a headache
Yeah,
sometimes trying to
yeah.
figure it out. But
The word Baron means Lord.
mm,
It means Lord. You can just look up the etymology. It means Lord. So they're already programming. There's another theory with that Project Chrononaut, where they were taking kids. They said that when they were developing Project Looking Glass and these time travel technologies, um, the Klein ball and what was it called? The Klein bottle. And
mm,
how that's what Stranger Things was originally. Camp Hero. It's what Stranger Things is based upon, where they had this Project Montauk going on that Peter Moon wrote about, where they were sending kids into the future or sending them in the past. They said adults couldn't time travel yet. Even the Atlanta child murders, a lot of those kids came back with white gray hair. Why do they got white gray? They said they put them in the Chrononaut project where they were sending kids back. Look at the anime movie Akira. All of the kids that were had the ESP in that movie, they were old. They had gray hair that he'd been doing this. So could Baron had been, I mean, look at him. He's like 6'7" nowadays. He doesn't have a family member that's 6'8". He doesn't have a family. I looked into his grandfather, his great grandfather, like, why is this dude that then they go into the Nephilim thing? which I believe that the Nephilim thing has something to do with the moonchild process, because if the seraphic spirit is going into the version and they're to birth the child with a mixture of the genetics from the male and the female, along with the seraphic being inhibiting the female, then you're generating Nephilim that way. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
the baby is coming with an extra, and they call this thing, what do you call it? Was it ghost DNA? Then they call it ghost, it's something called ghost DNA or something like that. It's like they call it junk DNA and ghost DNA. They don't know what it is. They don't know where it came from. That is exactly what a Nephilim would be.
Yeah.
And a lot
So
of us have those genetics. Go ahead.
I actually wanted to bring this up to you today, so this is perfect. Because
Mm,
I heard you talking about the verse of Daniel. It's Daniel 2:43. It talks about the mingling of iron with clay.
mhm,
It's and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And this was in a lecture where you were drawing comparisons to the Nephilim and technology, I believe, and I thought it was brilliant. So I got a quote from your lecture here to do
mm,
with this, and it's they are talking about fusion of angelic intelligence with machine consciousness,
mhm.
distinct from mortal flesh, and it's dramatizing the next cycle of fallen angel technology, synthetic incarnation, transhuman resurrection, and the artificial soul achieving pseudo divinity.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
think this is what we see with these guys, these tech bros, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Neuralink.
This is what, if you guys on my Patreon, I go deep into this stuff. Like it's like 3-hour videos, and you have to wrap your mind around what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
that's
'Cause
why I had to grab the quote, man. This stuff is so deep.
and I've been talking about Peter Thiel for the whole year. I've been talking about him and his little antichrist lecture that he did. Um, Ironically, is coming from him.
Yeah.
But yeah, bro, I
No,
think
that's exactly what I thought too. I was like, is the irony lost on this guy that
that's
he's
the
doing
point.
this?
But it's 17. That's what 17. See, when I be trying to tell people stuff, it's like I'm telling you these things for a reason. The Sabbateans, but their whole law is called inversionism. So how ironic is a guy who's developing this technology people will deem evil,
Hmm.
and they would deem him the Antichrist, that he's having a lecture about the Antichrist. He's not even a minister. Like what are we? And it was a private lecture. You couldn't even get it. We don't even know what he said.
I know, I know. I think I'm waiting to see what he
It's
said.
gonna come out.
Yeah.
They wouldn't tell you if they didn't want it to come out.
You just get these little hints, people that were there saying things and or people talking to him in interviews and he'll give them like some little clues as to what he's going to discuss or whatnot. But don't even get me started on Gordy Rose. I think we talked
Oh,
about him
Lord, it
last.
was a D wave, yeah, D wave tech, and he said it himself. It was all Necronomicon. He says that the quantum computer is all Necronomicon
Mhm.
research. The Haster, the old god Haster. And the thing about it, yes, the technology is something angelic or fallen angelic. And if you look into the numogram system, you can use numerology to predict the future, which the I Ching uses the 64 groupings symbolically with the numbers. It compares to the 64 codons as well, which they believe 64 is the number, not just in geometry, but it's something with the number 64 that parallels to creation in its entirety. You can use the numogram and gematria to predict outcomes because the process of the numogram and retrochronicity is showing how a angel descends into the physical, how a higher dimensional being descends into the physical. It even shows how Jesus, when he's crucified on the cross, when he said, Eli, Eli, Shabachthani, my Hebrew is
Mm,
bad, but he said something saying, Father, Father, why have you forsaken me? They said this is the moment that Christ splits from the Elohim, or he splits from the presence of God at this point, because they couldn't kill Christ no matter how many times they stuck him with the spear or all of this stuff, nailing him on on the cross and everything. He had to give up his spirit for him to die. So he supposedly dies and he goes to hell. You hear this, that he goes down to take the
right.
keys from Satan. So they're saying through his death, he takes the keys from Satan, he takes the keys, goes back to heaven, then he resurrects, and now we are saved. Well, I can show you this whole process in AI, which I did in my last lecture, numerologically, how they fit that process in the numogram. This is how technical these tech guys are. I call them techno-gnostics. And the thing about it, Trump, yeah, I call them tech-gnostics, that Trump
Yeah.
had a dinner with the royal family with 33 members of the tech Gnostic priesthood there. The only person wasn't there was Elon. And I guess
Mm.
he's supposed to be the Lucifer. Lucifer can't be there.
Metaphysical transformation,
Yeah.
and it's being mapped out digitally. And this reminds me of Enoch and
Hmm.
Enoch Metatron, that transformation. It's what's it called? Telestarian.
Mm.
Telestarian. It's like occult transhumanism before transhumanism. This is the stuff back in the day. This is there's nothing new under the sun. It's like the copy of a copy. It's the ruins of this place where they were doing this practice are still there to this day. It was a temple sanctuary in Eleusis, Greece. Is on the
Mhm.
Mediterranean Sea there. It was the center of the Eleusinian mysteries. And they had some sort of a very quiet. They kept this quiet, but it was a ritual for transformation. Old school transhumanism
Mm.
is what I gathered when I looked into this. They entered the great hall of the Telestarian and they emerged different. They emerged changed. And like
Mhm.
I say, the details are very mysterious, but it had something to do with Persephone as well, the goddess of the underworld. They called her the queen of the dead. And she's interesting because her return to the surface every spring
Mhm.
symbolizes immortality. So they were trying to tap into that and to tap into her whole aura and everything. And she's interesting too because she looks a lot like Ostara. We
Mm.
talked about how these goddesses are have a lot of connections to each other. Like we talked about Ishtar and Isis. Well, Persephone and Ostara, very similar. And if you see when Katy Perry got off of the Blue Origin flight,
Mhm.
she held a flower up to the sky. That's Ostara. If you
A
go back
star.
and if you go back and you look at the old depictions of her, that's what she's doing. She's holding a flower up off into the sky, and she's got all this stuff around her that makes you think of spring. It's very Persephone stuff. So, and you've got maybe even comparisons to Ishtar there, but I don't know what the process entailed there in Eleusin, but they took it very seriously. So I've been calling that old world transhumanism.
Yeah, it's the same process. It goes back to Kemet as well.
Mm,
But Melania is also a Persephone Demeter archetype. Her name, Melania, means goddess of ghosts and spirits, or the goddess of darkness. And she turned 666 months years old yesterday on Halloween. I highlighted that on Instagram yesterday.
whoa.
So I was looking for a story. I haven't looked into the news, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna find a story of her, or what did she dress up as for Halloween? Because every year they make that important that the first lady dresses up as something for Halloween. I got to see what did she dress up as yesterday, but she turned 666 months years old, and her name means that.
Say her name again.
Melania Trump.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Melania.
Yeah, but okay. Who turned 616?
No, she turned 666 months
Oh,
years
I
of
see.
age.
I see. Okay, I'm on board now. My fault.
Yeah, yeah, she turned that exactly on Halloween. She's now 666 months.
Yeah,
She's 55.
love to see what she dressed up as because I've seen this pattern with the elites before. If you go back and look at some of the old Vanderbilt parties,
Mhm.
the Vanderbilt women were dressing up as goddesses, often as Ishtar. I mean,
Mm.
it was encoded in there into their outfits, but one of the Vanderbilt ladies was had doves incorporated into her outfit, and she was wearing all this other goddess attire. That's Ishtar stuff. And then another one of the Vanderbilt ladies was holding up a star, and she looked a lot like the Statue of Liberty, but it was going back to old goddess worship. I did a decode on it a long time ago. So they like to act this stuff out.
Kybella.
Mm.
Yeah, looking Kybella. She's another archetype, but she's supposed to be the first T-Ran's deity. T-Ran's,
Didn't you find
her son Atticus. Yeah.
a Erica Kirk goddess connection? Thought I
I
heard you
did.
talk about that. I think I
Yeah, I
got
was talking about
I found it. I think I got a note somewhere here
okay, good.
about that.
But you got to watch the show, The
Cersei,
Boys and Gen V. The
the boys.
Starlight character, I think that's Erica Kirk in The Boys and Gen V.
Connection to Cersei that you made.
Yeah,
Greek.
Cersei. Yeah, Cersei was she was a Greek goddess that had this island. These men would go to this island in search of her, and she would put them under her spell, and they would forget where they were. And that word Cersei later becomes church. It later becomes the word circle.
Mm.
Circle and church comes from the same etymon of this Greek place or Greek goddess named Circe, and it was talking about a spell or forgetting where you are when you're in the circle or in the Circe or the church.
Yeah, Greek goddess of sorcery.
Yes.
She was, and I know people. The problem here is if I start getting to what I think about.
I'll
Yeah,
clarify before you say what you say. I'm
yeah. Go
sorry.
ahead.
Lose your thought. Kirk. The word Kirk is what the etymon of Circe is. So
Mm.
the reason why I brought that up is not just indicting Erica. I'm talking about the origin of the name Kirk. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if I say what I think is happening with the Kirk thing and the Trump stuff, the problem is I'm gonna tick off half the people that are listening, no matter what I say.
That's fine.
No matter what I say, it's gonna. So I'm asking people to keep an open mind when we talk about this thing because I know what happens here is people get galvanized and also people get on certain teams. They join the team. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, we got to stand behind this person. But
Mhm.
I would suggest that maybe there's some weird stuff happening with her that we need to look into. That's,
How you said that, Tim, was hilarious. I was just, there's some real stuff. There's
yeah,
some weird stuff happening, and I will agree. I mean,
it
it's
is
very
real.
weird. Yeah, it is. And
There was something off with 9/11. We know that now, but I
mhm.
mean, some people were clued into it. And I mean, there's something off with this Kirk thing, in my opinion. So I'm willing to not choose a side
I mean, don't
and
forget
look into it.
the music video she was in. She was in a music video with a guy named Tyler, and they got married. And halfway through the music video, she's ziplining in Vegas, and then 9/11 flashes in the background. No, 9/10 flashes in the background. That's the day that Charlie died right before 9/11 this year. You know, that's
Yeah.
Nine, 10 is just gonna flash out of nowhere. And then at the end of the video, she said, I had a blast shooting this with you, Tyler. He was shot by Tyler. You see what I'm saying? It's just it
Tyler, and that was in that movie Snake Eyes too.
yeah, right now in the World Series in baseball, you got this Tyler Glaslow going against Alejandro Kirk. Tyler Glaslow,
Yeah.
Alejandro Kirk.
Yeah, that was the fighter in Snake Eyes. It was
Yeah.
Tyler the
Okay.
Assassinator or something like that.
It
Tyler
was
the
a it was a
Assassinator.
black guy versus a Hispanic. And the
Mm.
week that Charlie was killed, it was a black guy, Terrence Crawford, going against what's the guy name? Oh shoot, he's more famous than Terrence Crawford. I can't remember his name.
People got to remember that, and this goes back to what we were saying, I think, when we were talking about the word conspiracy and
Mhm.
just people will suggest that, oh, the CIA created that, you're just falling for it. No, this is a real phenomenon. And I think people need to remember that Bill Cooper was telling people before 9/11 that something
Canelo.
big,
Canelo Alvarez, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, something he was telling people that something big was coming and that they were going to blame it on Osama bin Laden. Bill
Yeah,
Cooper called it, because he
Bill
looked
Cooper was
into
on it.
it. Yeah, he looked into
And
it.
who was the other guy? There's another guy that used to talk about the whole thing with this certain law. Donut interviewed him. Let me see if I can find it.
So I'll just say this while you're looking, we're never going to know, we're never going to get that glimpse inside the mechanics of the deep state unless we study these events. We have to question the narrative. We just have to. And I know that kind of goes without saying between guys like me and you, but for
Right.
people listening, I just want to encourage people to keep an open mind here. Um,
Definitely have to.
the whole thing, Ani, could be targeted at manipulating Christians,
Jordan
actually.
Maxwell, that's his name.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, he dropped some bombs, didn't he?
Yeah. Jordan Maxwell too. He was
I, I
shoot.
I heard him on a little clip the other day talking about Yoda, the real Yoda, the Freemason
Yeah.
Yoda. Do you know about that?
Yeah, I do. I do. I made a video about before I heard him speak about it, but um it went right in like the being that appears is from a 16th century painting from a book. I forgot the name of it, but it shows the Yoda character. But he was paralleling like the Freemasons or somebody was summoning, or the magicians were summoning this being that the Freemasons,
Mm-hmm.
incorporated later in the rites that they do. But that was some real freaky stuff.
Yeah, he's up on this little Yoda looking thing is up on some of the old paintings in some of the
Right.
cathedrals. And we know now that those cathedrals were built by Templars essentially. There was in 1100 a
Well,
guy
we
named
gotta ask which Templars because people don't know that the original Templars were killed and then they were replaced by what will become the Jesuit order. So you got one Templars in one side of the history that was, I think, the one that you were talking about. They were given knowledge about the goddess and
Mhm.
all of these Atlantean type aspects, but then they got killed off because the Crusades and all of that war was about that. They were a lot of people don't know that the Templars, they were associated with the first banking families because if you were rich and you were traveling across Europe or the Silk Road, you would leave your most prized possessions in their castles, almost like a bank of what they owned. So you would leave your stuff so you don't got to bring it everywhere with your horses. You would leave it there. And this is establishing banks.
Mhm.
These people all get these Templars that own these different, they call fortresses. They had these fortresses. When they got killed, I'm hearing through books that another group of people started masquerading as them. And they later become the Jesuits.
It's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah, the Templar thread splits around. It probably split several times, but I noticed a significant split in the year 1300
Right.
where they spread out. They had Philip the Fair came after them, killed a bunch of them off. Some of them escaped, but the whole organization spread out. And I should say, going back to those Gothic cathedrals, it wasn't just the Templars. I don't think, but they were kind of involved, but mainly it was Bernard of Clairvaux who got the
Mm.
contract to start building all the Gothic cathedrals. Now, if you look him up on Wikipedia, you're going to be like, oh, this guy's not into the mysteries. He's not an occultist. Well, hold on, because he had a facade. People thought he was like this priest, and he was, but he was a secretly practicing occultist, and he was really good friends with a Kabbalist, one of the early Kabbalists, a Jewish
Mm.
guy. And so, and he was teaming up with the Templars on occasion, and I think that they were employing some of the first masons actually to help build these things. Depends on how far back you want to take masonry and all that, right? But
Mhm.
they had a whole get up that included a lot of different orders when they built these cathedrals. And because they got the contracts, they were encoding all these just symbols and alchemical, threads and everything into the cathedrals themselves. I just think it's super interesting. So that's how I think you get one of those little Yodas up in the corner of the church. These guys were.
Hey, you playing, but I heard that the geometry built into those cathedrals, those early church buildings, were built specifically at a certain degree in the geometry so a entity could fill the spaces. And I have a picture showing it. So they were building the see, a lot of people think, go get the new movie 2023. Um who's the guy that plays in Gladiator, the actor?
Russell
It's
Crowe.
Russell Crowe. Um it's Russell Crowe's new movie from 2023, but he's playing like a father in the church.
Mhm.
But he's playing a exorcist. I think it's called The Exorcist, if I'm not mistaken. It's a new exorcist movie with Russell Crowe. But let me see if it pops up.
Yeah, there were you
Yeah, the
articulated that well. They were all types of things. I just want to go back to this and highlight
yeah,
this.
go
All
ahead.
types of things encoded into those cathedrals.
It was it's called The Pope's Exorcist. And in the
Yeah.
movie, if you watch this movie at the end, they prove that every church father was being possessed by a demonic lord. I'm talking about the top chief demons. And he was showing the lineages of how the new Catholic Church had specific demon lords or princes controlling the entire church. And that the churches were built on certain ley lines to feed spiritual energy from people joining the church to the demon. And one of the demons that's in that film, I can't remember which one it was. It's like I'm supposed to know what the hell fucking demon they fucking with, but he has the ability to possess multiple bodies at once. That's his special ability. So he can have 30 people. You know, a demon supposed to be able to possess one body at a time. He possessed like 30 people at one time. You don't even know it's the same
Wow.
demon. So
Yeah, and the sigils were up in these churches too. I've got a quote here. So I read this book. It's called The Great Cross of Henday,
mhm.
and it's a monument that's over there in France or Spain. It's where all these first Gothic cathedrals started up. So they were encoding stuff not only in the churches but also in these monuments. And this one's crazy because they went real deep and decoded this monument. And he says what we've been taught to regard as history looks a lot like the residue of a millennia long global conflict over the secret and its ramifications. And for context, the secret here is the cosmic cycle that's encoded in the Great Cross of Henday.
Mm.
And this
Mm.
ties in with all that. Falconelli wrote a book on the cathedrals and the sacred geometry of the cathedrals. And, like you said, there's sigils there. There's things encoded in there to bring in entities from other realms, apparently. So there's,
Peter Champoux wrote about it. Peter
yeah,
Champoux has a book called The Gaia Matrix, and it's called. Guess what it's called? It's called Templarism.
yeah. hmm Love that guy. I love that guy. That's on the nose.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
That's,
So,
yeah. I mean, that's really what it is, because the Templars were involved. I mean, uh,
mhm.
they got away with it because Bernard de Clairvaux oversaw the whole operation, and everybody thought he was this bishop priest guy, and secretly, he's encoding all this stuff. I love that stuff. There's a couple books on it, man. One is by Falconelli, and there's another book. I don't remember the name of it now, but it's all about how they encoded all this stuff, encoded the mysteries in the cathedrals, and
Yeah.
it goes deep.
It shows like the dimensional aspect too, like how many dimensions there are. They
hmm
included all of that in there too. So, of course, man, they have to do these types of things because they're also preserving the knowledge that they know when they build
Right.
these things.
Right, and I was recently looking into that obelisk in New York City, the
Yeah.
Cleopatra's Needle. There's some astrology encoded in there. That was Vanderbilt again.
Mm.
I'm telling you, those Vanderbilts knew something. They were practicing some sort of an ancient type of religion, because that where that the placement of that obelisk, and it makes an alignment with some other things there in New York City. It has a lot of Aldebaran connections that go back to an older belief system that
Mm.
includes Egyptian cosmology and the Eye of Horus as well, because Aldebaran is a part of that. And when Aldebaran is eclipsed by the moon, they believe bad things happen. When Aldebaran is over the moon, good things happen. So
Hmm.
you start your business, if you want to do that new startup, or you want to buy those stocks or whatever, you do that when Aldebaran is over the moon, not eclipsed by it. So they knew how to. It's in a nursery rhyme too. It's that cow jumped over the moon nursery rhyme.
Mhm.
It's all about this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. They going back to moon astrology. That's why Vedic astrology is very, very sophisticated in how to understand it. If you can understand Vedic astrology, you can get deep into the mystery school of all of it, literally all of it, because I think they all draw a little bit from the Hindu and the Bhagavad text, or the what's the other one? It's another big Vedic text that they look at, the Parashara text.
Mm,
They knew things about astrology that Western occultists are just figuring out. And now that they have the Vedic astrology, you're starting to see some incorporation. For instance, Trump, he's a Maga nakshatra sign. You hear what I said?
yeah.
Did you know that there's a nakshatra called Maga? Not Maga, Magha, which is the
What's
Leo nakshatra called Maga.
Yeah,
You
yeah. It's wild.
know what I'm saying? So you wondering where the word Maga comes from? It comes from Vedic astrology, which is lunar astrology. So it doesn't surprise me. I never looked at what region is out of Iran in, like what nakshatra is it in. I'm gonna have to research that. Now that you said that, you gave me something to look into.
hmm It's got some association with Alfie Tari. I don't remember the rest of it. I'm not a huge.
Right.
I mean, I think that all this stuff is super interesting, though, astrology and stuff. I've heard you talk about it quite a bit. Your
Absolutely.
signs and all that. And I know you were doing a live once, and I was listening. and somebody, I think you're doing like a Q&A, and somebody asked you something, and you're like, yeah, it makes sense for me to know this sort of thing because I don't remember what you said, but
Yeah,
it
I
had
was
something to do with.
Jupiter, my placement, so I have an exalted Jupiter in my moon sign, or my moon sign is a Dristi. Dristi in Vedic terminology means it glances, it aspects. That's the Western term. It aspects a sign. So it means that a planet is glancing at another planet and is transferring energy into that house. I have Jupiter in that. So Jupiter is called Guru in Vedic astrology, is where you get the word guru. And there's some people that say guru comes from the word Heru. Heru is Horus in the Egyptian
Mm,
texts. And Guru basically, or Jupiter, is everything that good that happened in your life is because of Jupiter. Because Jupiter is like the father of all of the planets. He's literally I won't say, because Saturn is the grandfather. Saturn is time.
mhm,
So Jupiter is even under Saturn, because Saturn moves. The further out you go to the planets, the slower they move. Jupiter moves slow, but Saturn moves even slower.
mm,
And I was saying that reference of what you said. The reason why I could figure these things out is because Jupiter also is wisdom. So knowledge is one thing, but wisdom is understanding the knowledge. So I can absorb and understand different angles. And also I have Saturn in the eighth house, which is the house of transformation and the occult. I have Saturn there. That's his natural house. So I can understand occult knowledge, and Jupiter helps me understand other angles of occult knowledge. And that's why I can disseminate it how I do.
mm. Okay, so I pulled this up. I don't know if this will answer your question here, but here's some of my
Sure.
notes here. It says, so what I found was the I didn't find this. I'm adding to this. Just want to make
Mhm.
that clear. This was laid out in a book called American Nation of the Goddess. And they found that Vanderbilt's obelisk aligned with General Worth Square and St. Paul's Chapel. And I found another alignment, and it makes an alignment with Castle Clinton as well, which is an old star fort at the tip of Manhattan. I think I
Mm.
made a mistake the other day on a show. I said it goes back to the 1600s. What I meant was the star fort shows up on maps from the 1600s, but it was
Gotcha.
there before that. And in the 1800s, these guys came in and said that they built it. They will
Mm.
acknowledge the fact that it's older. So there's this weird ancient star fort in the mix, but it reflects the belt stars of Orion. The alignment does, which is Osiris, god of resurrection to the Egyptians. And we talked about Isis a minute ago. There's an association with her.
Mm.
So Vanderbilt knew what he was doing. Isis is Sirius. And then you've got AlphaTauri Aldebaran involved here, and the Eye of Horus and all that. So it's complex, but it sort of makes, I heard it put like this, it's almost like they made the city a temple to Osiris with this alignment.
I just figured out something so amazing.
All right.
Aldebaran, which you've mentioned, is in the Rohini Nakshatra, which is ruled by Taurus. That's why it was aspecting the moon, what you said. And because Taurus is the cow or the bull.
Mm-hmm.
And Rohini, if you look at the story of Vedic astrology, Chandra is the original name of the moon, and he has 27 wives. The 27 wives are the 27 nakshatras, but his favorite wife is Rohini.
Mm.
So you get it? So if
Mm-hmm.
Aldebaran is behind the moon, that's his favorite.
Man.
Man, that's crazy, man. That
Yeah, yeah.
that
I'm
is
wondering,
wild.
I'm looking up to see if Vanderbilt has a lot to do with Wall Street because I'm thinking about the bull of Wall
Yeah.
Street. Wonder if there's some money stuff going on there, you know?
You know what's interesting about Vanderbilt? The Vanderbilt Commodores are very good this year. Did you know that in football?
Yeah, people, because I started talking. Yeah, people told me, oh, they're killing it in football right now.
They're killing it in football, and their symbol is the V, and the V is the Masonic compass.
Yeah. Oh
It's the,
man, and he put that. I'm in Nashville. I live in Nashville.
oh,
You know,
okay.
of course, we have Vanderbilt University here, and there's all kinds of wild stuff with this city.
That's not that family's university. It's not named after that family, or is
Yeah,
it? Oh, I was making
Vanderbilt.
sure.
Yeah,
I was
it
making
is.
sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They
Okay.
um they had the university here in Nashville. They had stuff going on up in New York, and they also put the Biltmore House in down in North Carolina.
Yeah, the Biltmore House.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And there's all kinds of weird stuff
I
with
know about
all
that.
the locations that they chose to dwell in. And go especially Nashville, because I mean, going back to this whole Star Fort thing, that we got a Star Fort here in Nashville. It's called Fort Negley, and there's a lot of other old stuff here that goes back further than they're telling us. And it's like Vanderbilt was clued into this somehow, because I mean, it seems like he knew about all about Castle Clinton and the old Star Fort that was there, and just a whole bunch of stuff. It'd take me a whole,
Mm.
whole episode to break all this down, the significance of it. But the
You know what's funny?
Taurus thing, what?
I'm gonna blow your mind. You're gonna love this. Speaking about Taurus and Aldebaran, Texas beat Vanderbilt today, 34-31. Their symbol is the bull.
Let's go.
And they're both 7-2 now.
Mm. Is there
And
anything to that 34, 31?
34 is a very important number. 31 is the age that Charlie passed at. And there's a lot of 31. I've been seeing 31 a lot this year. Even what's going on with Klay Thompson, he changed his number to 31. He was 11 his whole career. I have to look at what is the 34th and the 31st prime number. Prime numbers are important in Kabbalah and in the numogram. You got to look at prime numbers and triangular numbers to understand what's the deeper significance. By
Mhm.
the way, Peyton Manning's nephew is the quarterback for Texas.
Okay.
And I won't be surprised if Vanderbilt is playing for a national championship this year.
I'm a Taurus, actually.
No, Taurus, you're a Taurus sun sign.
May. I was born in May.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I mean, a Taurus sun sign.
I
See,
don't.
the in Vedic in Western astrology, they don't even tell you what your moon and your but see, thing about it, Vedic astrology is about 30 degrees different from Western astrology. And the reason why is the difference of that. You're not a Taurus. You were born when the sun was in Taurus.
Gotcha.
So the real signs of what we are is closer to sidereal Vedic astrology. Where was the moon? And where was the ascendant? Like, what is your ascendant and what is your moon sign? That's going to tell you more about yourself. The sun sign, so I explain it this way. Vedic astrology, okay, Western astrology or um following the sun tells you what type of clothes you like to wear. It's your personality. You like to wear this type of shirt or you're more dapper. It tells you what clothes you like to put on or what's in your closet. Vedic astrology is showing you your naked body and what scars you have on so you're wearing an outfit or a garment with sun Western astrology. Vedic astrology is showing you Western astrology shows you your ego. Vedic astrology shows you your deeper aspects of your soul. Those are the differences. So your ego is reflected through your sun sign. It's not that you're a Taurus. when people come across you, the first thing they pick up from you is a Taurus. But if they get to know you and sit with you every day, you become your moon and your ascendant sign.
Mhm. It's kind of like a esoteric, exoteric
Right.
duality. It's
Right.
interesting.
And
That's
that's the
interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about something before we
Yeah.
go, just
Mhm.
because we were on that show together, and that wasn't planned out. We just happened to be on the same show, and there was something. It's not my show, so obviously I let Nick take the lead. That's his show. But something came up and I really wanted to dive into it just a little bit more with you because there was a part where you were talking about cats. Remember this?
Yeah, I do remember that.
And
Mhm.
and I remember you saying something along the lines of that you grew up with dogs, but as you've grown older, cats start to come around more or something along those lines.
A whole lot now. Even it's funny, but when I was walking to my car today, it was a cat under my car.
Mm,
And it's like cats here in my apartment complex, they love sleeping under my car. But I also showed you my moon sign is Purva Falguni in Vedic astrology, and the symbol of Purva Falguni is a cat. So more nature of a cat, more than, most parts of me is a nature of how a cat is.
mm.
And I never liked cats in life. Like I always thought they were very mysterious creatures. And I think I got scratched by one. It looked nice and it scratched me when I was young. So subconsciously I was like, oh, cats are, jackasses or something like
Right.
that. But as I've grown older, I owned a herbal shop for a couple years, partnered with somebody, and their cat there loved me and would follow me around and all types of love my son. And I kind of warmed up to cats. And now, the last couple of years, anyone who owns a cat, the cat naturally just likes me. So I've
Yeah.
grown a little bit more fonder to cats, even learning that my astrology connects with them.
That's been my experience too,
Hmm.
is because I was more of a dog person. I always had dogs growing up. I kind of had those moments where cats weren't nice to me either. So that, that doesn't help. But now the cats in the neighborhood love me.
Right.
And I was a dog, I just thought I was a dog person, and now I got all these cats, and some of the cats are really cool. It's kind of they come and hang out with me if I'm out in the backyard or something. And I was thinking about this Casey stuff, this Edgar Casey
Education.
thing, because he was saying that when a cat chooses you, it's not random chance. And he had all this stuff to say here. I got some notes here on it. He said in one of his readings, it's reading 36451, and he said, the cat is the most psychic of all animals, attuned to realms and frequencies beyond ordinary human perception. And he described cats as beings that partially exist in other dimensions, allowing them to see energetic and spiritual fields. And he said that the cats appear or show up when a human needs them. And sometimes it's a chosen human, like they'll choose you. So,
It
and
will.
this stuff goes deep, man. He was giving readings to a lady who had just lost her husband, and lo and behold, a cat showed up as soon as the husband died, and it was like in her moment of grief, and it began to feel this energy void that was left by the husband. And Casey was saying it filled the vacancy and it deterred further life depletion.
Mm.
Just thought this was all super interesting stuff here. The cat
And
senses disruptions in the emotional body before they fully manifest in consciousness awareness, allowing them to respond to emotional needs the person may not yet recognize. So there's all this stuff with them being in tune with emotional struggles and wanting to help. And I mean, apparently there's some real psychic stuff happening here.
It is, and let me correct myself earlier. It's not Purva Falguni, it's Parnavasu, which is my ascendant. Purva Falguni is my moon. And Parnavasu, its animal is the cat, and the ruler of Parnavasu is Jupiter. So cats represent grace, independence, alertness, quiet inner power. Its qualities mirror Parnavasu's nature of renewal, to return light after darkness. So cats, like how they always land on their feet, the physics of that, it embodies resilience, adaptability, and spiritual regeneration. And it's interesting because in Egypt or Kemet, if you killed a cat, the punishment is death. There's no escaping it. That's how much the Egyptians regarded cats, to the significance of their culture. So probably the reason why they call it Schrodinger's cat. Something dimensional about these beings, about the cat, of that aspect. And even in, I highlighted on the Code Rejects on the movie Constantine, he has to look into a cat's eyes, Keanu Reeves, to go into the dimension between heaven and, I mean, earth and hell, to cross realms, to cross in between realms.
Yeah, that's awesome. I forgot about that part in that movie. Yeah, there's some healing frequency stuff too going on with their purring.
I heard that scientifically they're figuring that out.
Yeah, yeah. And so Casey was tapping into this, and he was saying that they were like a metronome that was
Mm.
stabilizing a tempo
Mm.
for the humans. And then he was talking about how they show up in someone's life as the person. Now, this is real interesting. Right as someone is starting to develop psychically or spiritually,
Mhm.
but the person doesn't know it yet, but they're on that trajectory. He said that's when the cats would often come into their life.
Well, Bobby Hemmett, my master teacher, used to say, the deeper you get into spirituality or the older you get, he said, is great to get a lot of cats in your house. And he says, like, the more cats you have, it's like it's your house, or the spiritual environment of where you exist is moving into another dimension. So he had like a 10 plus black cats in his
Oh,
house.
wow.
And he was saying that he was getting more spiritual messages by having these cats around.
Mm, man, that's something else. Yeah, I think Edgar Casey changed the way I look at cats forever now. And there's a lot more to it than what we went into just now. Talking about how, we talked about this earlier with the kids, the Montauk kids. They didn't
Yeah.
want to use adults for that program because the kids are more psychically attuned.
Hmm. They
Well, the
are closer to the imaginal gate, or the IMOG is what they call it. You notice when you're little, your dreaming gets different as an adult than it is when you're little, is because you're closer to that gate of what you came out of. That's the spiritual realm. So your mind is wide open to the spiritual realm and potentiality than it is as an adult. You kind of fixate yourself, and it closes you off from the spirit realm the older you get, unless you stay spiritual through life. That's what the Bible says: remain innocent as a child.
Mhm. Yeah, man, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was there was some other stuff in there to do with how the kids were talking about their cat helping them in their dreams.
Mm.
So like the kids would take a nap and the house cat would show up in the children's dream and lead them into some sort of a realm of learning and stuff like that, where they would go and talk to these star people and stuff, get knowledge. It's like that kind of deep. They're very deep stuff.
Animism. That's what animism. It's probably where they got Hello Kitty from.
Man, that's wild that you just said that. That's
Really?
so crazy that you just said that because I didn't have a segue,
Yeah.
but I wanted, but I wanted to ask you one more thing. I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you about anima concert in Egypt.
Oh my God. Lord God. That's what I'm saying, man. Like the anima, man. And anima means spirit. That's what it translates to. So they had this anima concert, and I don't know if that's a band or is it a light show company or whoever it is, but anima is some company, and they chose the Great Pyramids of all places to have this holographic show of showing this giant transhumanist robot looking being, looking real satanic too, trying to rip the rim in half or the firmament in half and come through the firmament. I think it was some type of moonchild um holography that they're saying that this is what's being birthed into this new generation right now through AI and everything. And then like a week later, they had a runway show, a modeling show in that same area, and they had this woman with the upper crown of Egypt on, but she has the Baphomet as her little dress veil. Literally the shape of the or was it Aldebaran?
Mm, right.
She had it on there, but people were pointing it out and put the Baphomet. I've shared that on my Instagram as well. So they're doing a lot of Egyptian ritualistic things. You remember that thing back in 2023? They had another Egyptian ritual. I forgot what was the name of it, but it was a big deal. Um, but it occurred in Egypt, and a lot of people were there, like a lot of famous people.
Yeah, it's just them doing it over there, summoning ancient entities in Egypt, man. Like that's a ancient place over there with very deep rooted meaning. It's not a place to be messing around. I mean,
It's not. It's not, and they don't care because these people feel like they can colonize energy. Like sacred places are to be used as conduits for what they're implementing in their rituals. So they don't care. They feel like now that they're running the world, it doesn't matter. They feel like they have to go to those ancient places and do these things for their workings to go further than whatever it is right now. So they don't care about that. The
yeah,
morality is gone.
the location makes me think about the two Egypts. Like there's the metaphysical Egypt. There's
Yeah.
like a as above, so below Egypt that I've read about that the Egyptians believed in. And also Solon talking about Atlantis. Solon was in Egypt when he found out about or was told about Atlantis because he went down beneath the temple of Neith. I don't know if there's connection there, Neith beneath, but he went down beneath this temple and got on this waterway in this cavern and they went to these columns where there's some
Mm,
knowledge and stuff coded in the columns. And he was told about the legend of Atlantis. And it was like the esoteric Nile. It's like the Nile below the Nile.
mhm.
And I also think about, say, it's not playtime in Egypt. If you might accidentally bring something through over there, but Crowley,
Mhm.
Crowley was in Egypt for a couple of days when he wrote the Book of the Law.
Yeah, with his boyfriend.
Iowas, right?
Yeah,
As
ayahuasca
well.
came through his
Yeah.
working, and the thing about it, ayahuasca came from him having a sex ritual with his boyfriend.
Hmm.
That is like literally told in the golden, I mean not golden nine OTO of how ayahuasca came. And some people point out that AI is in the word ayahuasca,
It is.
no, but
Yeah, man. Well,
yeah,
listen, man, this was a good show.
it was,
This,
man. We went a lot of different places. Very,
mhm.
very interesting on the Sixth Century podcast over here. Very interesting.
It gets interesting. Yeah, I knew it was going to be good. I mean, we had well, we had a conversation similar to this last time where
Yeah.
we went all over the place, but it linked up real nicely. There was like
Yeah.
there's a lot of commonalities in the show. It just so man, I love having you on. I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your knowledge with me and with the listeners, man. I know it's always going to be good whenever I get together with you. So again, I appreciate that, man, and tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, and we got to get you on. Spiritual Shade Room too. We got to get you over there to
Okay.
do an interview over there, brother. But you guys can find me at Ani Osaru on YouTube and Facebook and on Twitter. And you can also follow my Instagram, The Spiritual Shade Room with the number one. And if you want advanced classes, we have people that join in on Zooms and share information as well, our group, so to speak. Uh, Follow or look up patreon.com/THE underscore spiritual shade room, and the True Occult newspaper will pop up. And there's tons, like thousands of videos of classes and articles and things that you can go through. It's only $5 a month, and we offer a lifetime of information on there.
Awesome, man. And everyone can go just look below the episode, go to the description, and I'll have all of Ani's links down there for you. So this has been another great episode. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. As always, break the mold, conquer the realm, and thanks for listening.